Hey, it's Kasim with your daily Google News, and today we're going to talk about how to run Google Ads for a local business. And a lot of local businesses out there have really tight budgets, and so Google tends to be kind of a dangerous mechanism for them because you can burn through a budget really quickly. So I'm going to help protect you from yourself and from Google, mostly from Google. So first we're going to play Death by PowerPoint, then we're actually going to dive into the dashboard, and I'm going to show you some pro tips. We're going to build a campaign together, and hopefully it goes well and I don't screw anything up. So first, the note that I'll offer you is run a local campaign. Now, the reason that you might be afraid of local campaigns and some of the things that you might have heard about local campaigns, and many of them are true, but they're very heavily automated. So I actually kind of like that for small local businesses because you don't have to spend the time managing the campaign that you would if you built out a more robust campaign. Now, you lose the opportunity to control the campaign the same way you would be able to if you're using more robust or, let's say, more advanced campaign types. But to be honest with you, if you're a small local business, I'd actually, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because it hurts my heart given where I came from. I'm losing my roots. You want to trust the machine learning, especially if your conversion optimization is in place properly. So what's nice about local campaigns is you're using all of Google's network. So everything that Google has to offer, from GDN, the Google Maps, YouTube, etc. This is a good opportunity for you to use Google's inventory in a way that Google thinks is best for you. Now, Google wants to maximize the value of their inventory, and so they're sort of putting this in front of you in a way that allows them to do that as well, but it's something of a symbiotic relationship. Now, you can add supplemental campaigns if you want to. So if you want specific keywords or map placement or those types of things, you can have additional campaigns that you build around this. But in the short term, for small local businesses, the local campaign is going to suffice. And you'll see more about what I mean in this context when we build a campaign together. Now, in order to do this, you have to have a Google My Business profile. And you want to make sure that your Google My Business profile is as robust as possible. And these are really easy to build out, y'all. And there's 1,000,001 YouTube videos on doing it. But this is the Google local listing that you've probably seen. As a matter of fact, let me just show you mine real quick. So we're going to go Solutions 8. Here is my Google My Business profile listing, and you'll notice that I own this business, and so it gives me the opportunity to edit the business information if I want to. And in so doing, I can now go in and add a business category or, change contact information if I'd like, those types of things. But this lets me put my best foot forward in terms of telling Google who we are. I can get reviews online, etc. And Google lets me know, hey, you've had this many views, and you can add updates and photos and those types of things. So it's very, very simple, very easy to build. It's kind of like a website or a directory listing inside of the Google ecosystem. But having a Google My Business profile is necessary because you actually have to connect your GMB profile to your Google Ads account in order to push things like ads in the map placement, for instance. You also want to make sure, this is a rule that I haven't followed, but for local businesses, I don't run this type of campaign, which is why it's not as important to me. But for you, make sure you have a lot of imagery, because that's one of the things that people pay attention to when they end up on your GMB listing is, what is it that they can see, because that's really important. So make sure you have GMB. You also want to make sure that you're using analytics to build your audience. Now, the audience is people who have been on your site longer than 10 seconds. And the reason you want that, incidentally, is because you just want to make sure that you're canvassing your audience appropriately, and you're not paying to be in front of people that, for whatever reason ended up there, they're looky-loos or, sparse traffic, bots, those types of things. But this kind of helps ensure a certain quality segment. So use a Google Analytics audience for your remarketing. You also, for local businesses, want to make sure you're using a CRM. And let me just pause here, y'all. This is a really important pro tip. If you aren't using a CRM, which is it's a database, it's there's 1 billion of them out there. Salesforce, HubSpot has a free one. We use High Level, but that's for agencies only. This drops the contact into a database that allows you to monitor the progression. And anytime you're getting a lead from your website, and this is somebody who fills out a form, schedules, chats, calls, whatever, you need to be able to track where that lead came from and then decide what happened with that lead. And if they close, you can actually pipe that information back into Google using something called offline conversions, which I have a video about, and that will tell Google, oh, hey, this person, not only did this person close, but they closed for X dollar amount. which is really important information, because you might get a client that closes for $500, then you get a client that closes for 5,000. You want Google to know the difference, because Google can identify common denominators behind those two different prospects and then go try to get you more valuable prospects. So please, dear God, make sure you're using a CRM. HubSpot has a super, I think, very robust CRM, given that it's free. We're HubSpot certified partners. I'm not trying to sell you on HubSpot. We actually don't even use it anymore. But it's a great free option. There's a bunch of them out there. You have to make sure you're running a brand campaign. So somebody searching for you should see your ads. And you want to make sure not only that you get that traffic, but even if you're going to get that traffic organically, that you're driving them where you want them to go. And it also allows you to measure the impact of your marketing. You know, something 51% or more of your organic traffic tends to be not provided, meaning Google's not going to tell you where it came from. If you pay just a little bit of money to drive them from a brand campaign, then you now have the opportunity to see the conversion path, which is really, really helpful and really important. I realize I'm going fast here, y'all. I want to give you as much value as I possibly can. You have to track calls. You have to track phone calls. This is imperative. If you're not tracking phone calls, you're putting yourself in a position of not knowing what works. So we use a tool called Call Tracking Metrics. There's a bunch of them. Call Tracking Metrics, Call Rails, Go High Level has it native if you have GHL or working with an agency that has GHL. Track and record your phone calls and then score them. And the same way you can pipe lead information from forms, you can pipe back lead information from call tracking metrics and tell Google what actually worked, which is really, really, really important. Make sure in your keyword strategy, have localized search terms, you know, local near me, the city, the zip code, things that act as indications that you're here. Because you, especially if you're going up against national players, it can be really helpful for you to prioritize things that are, you know, very obviously close to home. Now, let's build. So if you want to build a local campaign, inside it, and this is my little sandbox here that I use just to test stuff, but you're going to select from the campaigns section, let's say, you're going to select new campaign. And then we have all of these options. You're going to go to local store visits and promotions. And then local is the only campaign type you get. And you can sort of compare this to if I selected leads, I have all these options. Local is the only campaign time that we get. And notice that it automatically wants me to use a business location. So you have to, this is the Google My Business that we talked about. You have to have a Google My Business account integrated with your Google Ads account. If you don't, go do that first. This is not confirmed, obviously, but it'll be good enough, let's say. So we're going to select continue. And now it's going to ask me for my campaign name. I'm just going to leave it as local store visits. You can name yours whatever you want. The language in English, in search campaigns, we encourage people to remove the language because they're searching in the terms that you're providing. We're actually going to leave English here because this uses the entire Google network, and you want to make sure that it's in the language that you want to advertise in. So if English isn't the correct language, go ahead and select another language. That's perfectly fine. For your budget, I'm going to recommend that you spend at least $1,000 a month. Now, you might say, hey, I can't do that, in which case feel free to pare this down to whatever is palatable to you, but realize that you're going to put yourself in a position to where you're not spending enough money to reach critical mass. You know, have I seen these reach traction at $10 a day? Yes, but it's generally with, you know, smaller ecosystems. So like Montessori schools, for instance, we have an agency that services Montessori schools. We have some schools that spend as little as $200 a month and see pretty strong results from it. But it depends on how competitive your market is. You know, if you're a local gym, you might be able to get away with it just depending on how many local gyms are around you and also advertising. But let's say that we're going to spend $1,000, $30 a day. Now, notice, and again, this is what I was saying earlier, we have very little control. So where we used to be able to change our bid strategy, Google's saying, hey, this is the only bid strategy that's available, which is maximizing conversion value. This is also why it's important to pipe back conversions into Google Ads, telling Google what the value was. Now, another thing that you'll notice here is I actually can't select store visits in the moment, but I think it's pretty cool that Google is giving us the opportunity to optimize for things like store visits. And I anticipate Google diving much deeper on this particular note. They had for a while, they had a beta. It was called Google Beacon, if memory serves, and there was actually a physical, it was this little, I think it was like an RFID or NFC, just a little piece of plastic that you would put in your store, and it will help Google identify who was coming close based off of who visited your ads. That didn't go anywhere, to my knowledge, but it's an indication that Google wants to get really good at driving local traffic. And I think what they're doing is they're actually taking the responsibility off of the advertiser, and they're just relying on the localized data that they're able to capture from mobile devices that they have their operating system on. Now, this gets really dangerous because the campaign optimization, you notice that there are call clicks. Call click conversions are times people selected call to contact a store after viewing an ad. And so you can say, I want to optimize for calls, or I want to optimize for driving directions. And Google's giving this a pre-designated value. This is entirely up to you and the type of business you're in. You might say, hey, people don't drive to me, I drive to them. Well, okay, let's disable this. But we're going to keep it enabled for now just for the sake of the tutorial. Never, ever select an end date inside of Google Ads. This is a conspiracy theory, but I am very convinced that Google deprioritizes campaigns that have end dates. And then we're going to look at additional settings just for fun. We don't have a product feed set up, so it's not relevant, but I want you to know what's there. And then we're going to say continue. And now Google wants me to set up our ad group and ads. And so, in this particular instance, I don't know what we are. We are a plumbing supply company. I just made that up. We're going to see how well that plays. So notice that there's maps, display, search, YouTube, Gmail. So we are using Google's ecosystem to its max, and we're going to go build out a bunch of ads for all of those things. So let me go find a local plumbing supply company. Oops. I hate typing in front of people because I make mistakes. Go to maps. Come on, maps. Central Arizona Supply. Y'all look as good as anyone else does. So I'm just going to use them. And now enter the URL. And the display path, by the way, entirely, this is vanity based, but we could say, I don't know what. Best Phoenix plumbing. Oh, look at that. Bam, I'm good. And then you want your 5 headlines, which I don't actually want to write here, so we're just going to go steal 5 headlines. So we obviously like using the brand as one of the headlines. You could actually pin that if you wanted to. Central Arizona Supply. I'd like to expand this so that it occupies all 30 characters. I'm not going to waste your time doing that. What if I did Phoenix? There we go. That's a little redundant, by the way, but we're getting the geotag in here. What are some of the other things that we want to see? So we got faucets, sinks, tub showers, toilets. Is there an about us, y'all? Come on. Honor your home. That's horrible language, but we're going to do that anyway. So honor your home by shopping here? No. Whatever. I'm going to leave it alone. Occupy all the characters that you can occupy, and use all the headlines that you can possibly use. So here we've got decorative plumbing, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to leave that alone. Descriptions, we get 2 full descriptions. Is there anything I can copy? There we are. Bam. So here's my description number 1. Oh, no. So this is the other thing to be cognizant of. Your character limitations change. You'll notice that the descriptions on normal expanded text ads are 90 characters. The descriptions here are way lower. So we're going to do this. And this title case isn't going to help me. To stay home. I forget what they said, but that's what I'm going to say. And then description number 2 is going to be plumbing supply needs for you and me and her. Notice that I'm using title case. These are all really, really horrible, by the way. Please do not follow my ad copy guidelines. I just want to build this out. Visit today. Call now. That's probably not a good one either, given that it's so specific and the call to action isn't necessarily going to be called, so I'm going to change that. Stop on by. Boom. Images and logos. Let's see, do I have any pictures? Let's go get one real quick. So I'm going to steal. Can I do that? This is the worst image in the world to have stolen. I stole a picture of a toilet like a dope, but I'm a little nervous. Oh, here we go. I can scan the website if I want to. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I should have done. Google's scan tool is really heavily dependent upon, how well your website is structured. So there we go. We're going to use that image. And That's fine. And then we're going to use that image. And these ratios look good to me. That's fine. Notice what Google allowed me to do, by the way, is if I change it, I can say, you know what, I'd rather see that. Cool. So I've got my images. I have to upload my logo. At least one logo is required. And so I'm going to say edit, and bam. And it's as close as it's going to get. So we're going to go like that. All right. Obviously, I would mess with this, but I'm not going to. So we've got our images. We need our video, which incidentally can be pulled from YouTube. So let's go see if YouTube's got Essential Arizona Supply. I wonder if they have. Hey, there we go. This is great. It's exactly what we want. So, boom. That's the video. And URL options for advanced tracking. If you know what this is, use it. If you don't worry about it right now. But I just built out a Maps ad, display ad, search ad, YouTube ad, Gmail ad, Gmail sponsored promotion. And it's all in a single campaign, which is super freaking cool. Notice that Google's going to optimize against conversion actions within your account, so make sure you have conversion actions set up, which is maybe the most important thing that you need to do, and I'm glazing over it only because we have a bunch of videos on how to set up conversion actions. But please, dear God, don't skip that part. And so now we've got, let me pause this so I don't actually start running ads to this. Just in case. But we just built a local campaign as quickly as a human being could build a campaign, I imagine. There's much more strategy that should be involved in your messaging, obviously. I don't mean to glaze over that part, but you can do that on your own. I wanted to show you how to do it from a technical perspective. I'm tired. That's all I got. So that's how you should run ads for local businesses to start with. And then, obviously, keep an eye on your ads and see how they're performing and what's working and what's not, and then tweak accordingly. I hope this has been helpful. If you like my videos, like, comment, subscribe. I shoot a video every day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know we actually know what we're doing. We shoot a video every single day, so if you want to be notified, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any input, don't hesitate to hit us up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We get very little human interaction. Thanks for supporting our channel, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.